This is 100% true, even though most people I tell this to in real life don't believe me. When I was really little, my parents would let me stay up late on the weekends and watch TV until I fell asleep. I really loved these times, and I would stay up later than anybody else just because I could. Well, one night I was almost asleep on the couch when I heard a noise on our front porch. It was the sound of our old-fashioned porch swing moving back and forth. I was a little scared, so I crept toward the bay windows of my living room and peeked out towards the porch. Sitting on my front porch swing was an older woman, probably in her 50s, wearing nothing but a nightgown, covered in blood and holding a huge kitchen knife. I flipped out immediately and ran screaming into my parents' room, but was too terrified to form words. My parents saw that I was upset, but when I finally was able to tell them what I saw, my dad got really angry and told me that it was just a dream and to go back to bed. I refused and kept crying and screaming until he had enough and snatched my arm and dragged me towards the front door to prove that nothing was there. I kicked and screamed all the way trying to make him stop, but he kept pulling me. Finally, we got to the door. He unlocked it, swung it open and said, "See, there is nothing." He couldn't complete his words. To this day, I have never seen the look of fear and shock that was on his face when that woman turned and stared at both of us and slowly stood up with the knife. My dad slammed the door shut and got my mom to call the police while he went and got his gun. He went back to the door with a 12 gauge and cracked the door enough to stick the barrel up. He asked her what she was doing, and she said, "Somebody killed my husband, but it wasn't me." My dad told her that the police were coming, and she freaked out, grabbed the knife and walked away. My dad called and warned my crazy uncle who lived next door what was happening. Apparently, he was waiting on his front porch with his shotgun when she walked by. He pointed it at her and just said, "Keep moving." The police found her 15 minutes later trying to break into one of our neighbors' houses. They never talked to us about it, so that's just what they heard from the woman's neighbors. I just talked to my mom and she said that they never really found out the whole story, but apparently she was crazy and off her medication. Her and her husband got into a fight and she tried to attack him with the knife, but didn't seriously hurt him. When he got her out of the house, she cut herself with the knife, either trying to commit suicide or make it look like her husband did it. I never slept in the living room again.
I'm a guy in his mid-20s. Last night, I either had sex with a ghost or had some kind of sleep paralysis, self-induced, almost terrifying orgasm experience. I was half awake last night and I felt a warm sensation on my face, like someone was touching it. Then I said out loud, for some reason, "I can feel that." And the feeling then instantly moved to my chest and then down to my dick, and it felt like someone was jerking me off to the point my dick was moving. Then I felt a new warm feeling all over my thighs and dick, and it felt like I was having sex, specifically being ridden. My heart was pounding. I was confused. I couldn't really move, or I didn't want to. Basically, whatever this was happened about 3 times last night, and I came from the last one. I want to point out felt like my dick was laying naturally soft to the left, and when this started, it pulled my dick to the right before it started massaging and touching it. But then the sex part, I could feel weight on my thighs. I live alone. My dog was literally in the hallway, so it's not like I could have been raped by a real person. And I'm not exactly calling it grape either. I did kinda consent around the 2-3 time. Never had this happen before. I actually kinda panicked feeling this at first, and that's why I think it kept stopping and going again until I finally just let it happen. Insane feeling. Insane I'm posting about this. I've heard of being able to orgasm, but I've never heard it described like someone was physically touching you to the point it feels that good. If it was a ghost, 10 out of 10, but also 100 out of 10 freaked out. I don't even really believe in stuff like this, but that first moment when I felt it, really give me a few tugs and then slide it in, it instantly felt real and my heart started pounding in my chest.
I grew up in seriously a haunted house, so it takes a lot for something paranormal to really scare me. I've seen things, heard things, you name it. Startle me? Sure. Scare me? Nah. Here's the only time I've ever been actually scared. I lived in an apartment complex about 11 years ago, and other than some terrifyingly large wolf spiders, never heard or saw anything paranormal. Then the old dude who lived across from me had a party one weekend and his brother died. Alcohol poisoning. His body laid there for over 12 hours because everyone thought he was sleeping it off. After he passed, I would occasionally hear some odd sounds, but nothing major. Then one night I was laying in the bed with my toddler waiting for her to go to sleep, and something blocked the light that had been shining into the room from the bathroom. I whipped my head up off the pillow and looked toward the door, and there was a black mass that was loosely in the shape of a person in the doorway. My whole body started tingling, and I squeezed my eyes shut for a moment because I was terrified and unsure if it was a real person who had broken in or something paranormal. I popped my eyes back open and it was gone. So I hopped up out of bed and grabbed my shotgun and a couple shells and took off after it. The only door into the apartment still had both locks locked and the chain was still in place. Windows were closed and locked. I checked under every bed and inside all the closets and didn't find anything. I heard noises again after that, but never saw anything again. I moved a couple of months later when my lease was up. So the stairs to my attic had smelled like burnt hair for 3 days. Extremely odd because it was just that area and I have a very old drafty house. On day 4, I came home from work just before midnight, and as soon as I walked through the door, I felt like I had someone standing over my shoulder, breathing down my neck. The feeling was so strong that I opened my medicine cabinet so the mirror was against the wall. I also showered with the shower curtain open because I had a powerful need to see the room. After a shower, I was a little less on edge until I walked past my 4-year-old daughter's room. The door was closed, but I heard her talking in her sleep. Then I heard a loud crash. I slowly opened the door to find her sleeping on top of the covers and the pile of stuffed animals she insisted on sleeping with scattered across the room. I turned the light on low, looked around the room, and checked her breathing. All seemed well, so I went to bed. The next morning, I asked her if she had a bad dream. Yeah, there was a man with no arms and sauce on his face, and he kept laughing at me. I told him to go away, but he wouldn't. Then, an arm came out of the wall, threw me into the ceiling, and I crashed back down on my bed and went back to sleep. After I died on the way to the hospital, I became aware of the spirits around me. Yes, I died in a car accident without a mark on my body. My hand shot through the windshield from the impact of the other car. I carried my friend up the embankment away from my sister's car that shortly caught fire from being T-boned and slid across a yield sign. The sign sliced the gas tank open and spilled gas in the ditch where the car sat still running. I died as the police arrived and I was taken to a hospital. I was pronounced dead on scene at 6:45 p.m. on October 5th, 1982. I woke up in the hospital morgue, scaring the crap out of the nurse. I walked from the morgue wrapped in the sheet I covered with. The nurse in triage was talking to my parents as I walked up. Afterwards, I see both planes, the prime material and ethereal plane side by side.